Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the advanced training for the CSV import module for the Parity.net. Before I get started, just want to let everyone know that everyone is on mute, and if anyone has any questions during the session, please click on the little icon next to your name that looks like a hand, and once that hand is raised, one of us will notify either myself or anyone else on the call to make sure we can answer those questions. Throughout the actual webinar itself, there will be moments of pause where we could answer any questions, whether it's related to a particular slide. If we don't see anything at those moments, we will probably leave to the end for some questions. To get started, let's review the agenda here. All right. So before we get started, we want to have a few quick updates on PariData.net, and then we will get into kind of why this is and some of the benefits around it. Have a little bit of a checklist to get you started for those hospitals that are interested in beginning to leverage the CSV import. Review some of the current fields, some of the layouts and rules, and then we'll go through a little bit of the screens of how they look and what to expect. And at the end, we're hoping, if there's time permits, to review, do an actual brief demo with some fake data, and then talk a little bit about the CSV imports in the future. So for some quick updates, as we tried to communicate through the actual Paridata portal, just want to kind of leverage this time to highlight them as well. For those that either do not know this or are unaware of it, we actually were able to update Pentaho, our reporting platform. I think we're going on the second month or so where we've been live with it, and one of the main goals of this was, one, to get the more recent code base to kind of take advantage of some of the benefits of that, of which one of the big ones we were trying to achieve was eliminating the issues that multi-tabs have with Excel for any of the reports. And for the moment, there's a few reports, whether it's the checkpoint review or the early elected delivery Excel reports, that had this limitation. And that's why we kind of split up the reports early on when we first took over Paridata about 1.5 years ago. So that issue has been resolved, and we actually eliminated all the extra Excel reports and just kept the multi-tab one where we believe most people actually prefer. We have run into a few constraints depending on the kind of the operating system / browser you're using. One of them we have noted, based on working with some people, is IE7 on Windows 7, this particular combination. So if you have, actually it should be Internet Explorer 11, not a 7. Internet Explorer 11 on Windows 7, and is having some issues opening up the PDF reports. We're not having any issues with that with the Excel or the CSV reports. It's just this. So we're looking into that as we speak. Our recommendation is to, for the moment, try to leverage a different browser, whether it's Chrome or Firefox. The other issue we found was with one of the reports, the disparities report, and we believe this works for the existing full report correctly on the Google Chrome, but we believe that some of the other browsers, whether it's Firefox or any Internet Explorer, might be having some issues. So we broke that report into 2 separate reports and called them part 1 and part 2. Again, short term, until we can kind of figure out why this disparity report is having an issue. I think a lot of it has to do with some older code bases that some of the browsers have that Chrome doesn't have. The other update we want to provide is a kind of a new feature, a new filter feature that we're offering to hospitals. Some hospitals that are unable to keep up with some of the their completing of the records for hospitals, we added a new filter called the 6-month filter, and basically this allows you to kind of look at the last 6 months of your births. And so you can really focus on that, especially before, we're going to release the data to WHA for checkpoint. And this can be basically applied by checking on a checkbox within your facility page that allows this filter to be turned on, and you can turn it on and off. We're going to probably expand this filter to be more interactive on the page where you can turn it on and off on the page of itself. But for the short term, we want to get this up there for a few hospitals that have recommended this. If you have any questions on that, please set up time at our help desk. We will get you through that. Okay, so into the topic at hand. So what's the importance of this CSV upload? Obviously, just with the number of fields to complete for any given birth has probably been demanding such a mechanism for quite a while. And so we're finally there. And what we wanted to try to do is emulate a little bit of what we've already been doing with the Sybaris or the VR update, and kind of just, piggyback on some of the concepts and functions that's been used already. And the other idea is to attempt to, leverage some of the existing standard or custom reports your EHRs may have by not limiting, how the columns are sorted and such. And we'll talk through a little bit of that details on the next few slides. But a lot of this is driven just based on the pure need of trying to improve the importance of saving time, reducing the manual entry, and with some of these two features, obviously, is reduce the amount of data errors that may be presented by just manually entering the information. And basically, it's, for the most part, 3 steps, right? One is, and this is after obviously you've created the necessary report to get out of your HR, is have a mechanism to export the information out. And once you have done this, you basically log into Peridata, and you click on the upload, and you import information in, and then it's in the system, and then you kind of follow very similar steps you would with Sybaris. So if it's a new record or new birth record into Peridata, it'll just go up and show there, and then you can just search for it and review it if you want. If it's an update of information for an existing record, whether it's something that's been uploaded in previously or Sybaris, you've entered information to Sybaris first and it's flowed through, or you just manually did it. So either way, you have the ability to leverage some of the update screens to review the information and either accept all or reject all, etc. And then we also have other reviews of errors. So if you happen to upload some information that does not compliant in format, based on our specs, there's a report that you'll be able to leverage so you can identify those and correct those and reload those in when you're ready. I will now turn this over to Madison to kind of talk through a little bit of the details of the CSV, and she'll get started as how do you get started. Madison.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're really excited to hear about this. We're going to start with, like Alan said, the basics of how to get started using this tool. So it looks like a little bit of a lot, but it is very straightforward. So basically you'll start with contacting us and then setting up a meeting to review the process of uploading the CSV file, just in case you don't remember all the details from this meeting or something else. That's a short meeting. Just go over how to do it. Then we will set up your user account on our test site for peridata.net. This will allow you to have access to basically all the functionalities that's in the production site, but this way you can test it without, if you're afraid of messing up some existing data, this will prevent you from doing that. So we'll set you up with a test site user, then you can send us and solid partners a sample CSV file. We'll review it to make sure that everything makes sense, all the headers look good, and everything should work fine. Then, just so that you guys know and we can show you how to upload the CSV file, you'll set up a 1-hour webinar with us to walk through the process. Now, it most likely won't take an hour, but it's a good time frame to use just in case we have some nitty-gritty details to figure out. Next, then, your organization can upload the CSV file to the test site under your own hospital. Everything will look exactly like you expect it to. we will then remove you from the test site and then put you back on the production site. Your security officer can assign your data entry person the role to upload the CSV to the production site. And then you should be ready to go. You can just start using it, and everything will be as straightforward as possible. Are there any questions on that? All right, awesome. Basically, just contact us. We'll set up a meeting. We'll show you how to do it, and then you'll be good to go. In test, you'll test it out. We'll go to prod. All right, so basically what is currently available with the CSV import, we have 56 fields that can be imported, things specific to the mother screen. So some things, we need to identify those records. Obviously, pretty straightforward things. We've got some items from the mother address screen, like phone number and address, first street and zip. We've got the infant MRN, which is one of the most key pieces of the file to match up the files in Peridata themselves. Time of birth. Then we touch on previous pregnancy screen a little bit. We'll go to the next slide. We have from the current pregnancy screen, we've got some basics of mother information. We have some lab tests done and things like that as well, those data pieces. Antenatal risk factors, previous pregnancy, intrapartum procedures. It's just fairly comprehensive and just a good start. And then I think there's another slide with more fields from the attendant screen. So we've got attendant information in this upload as well. The delivery screen, we've got cesareans, estimated blood loss. And then the birth outcome screen, we've got APGAR, and we've got the basics of the birth outcome, such as the original first data pieces of the infant itself. So those are the fields we currently have, and you'll see later in the presentation we'll talk about where we're going with these fields and what we hope to add in the future. So now you know how to get started, you know the fields. When you're going in to populate these fields, there are some specific rules that have to be followed. Most importantly, in order for any record to be uploaded into the CSV upload portion of Peridata, both the mother's infant MRN, and the infant's MRN columns must be in the file. That's how the mechanism works to read the files and then match it up or create new files within Peridata itself. Secondly, the column headers, which you can see a snippet on the left of some of the column headers, which are the fields that we just talked about, must match the template headers letter by letter. You can't put in any additional punctuation, no quotations, no spaces, no, colons. Just, exactly as we have them laid out in the CSV template for you. The good news is that the columns can be arranged in any order you want. It does not matter. You don't have to have mother's MRN first, for example. You could have mother's date of birth first. You could have the infant MRN first. The column order can be completely up to you, but the headers must be identical to the letter. There are some columns where you may not want information in them. They can be blank. Any column except for the mother's MRN and the infant's MRN can be blank. If you have extra columns, you can just remove them if you want to. You don't have to have them, or you can keep the headers in and have it be blank. Both of those will work. And then the last and final piece of this rules screen is that there are certain fields that have very specific requirements on them. So, mother's social security number needs to have 9 numbers in there. It can't have 15. It can't have 2. Just certain things that will catch so that you don't upload data that doesn't make any sense or that Peridata itself will not read. We tried to match the rules on these fields to be what is allowed in Peridata currently. So, for example, there are some fields that can't have decimals, or the date of birth has to have a 4-digit year, certain things like that. And we have a very nice, succinct directions Excel doc, which you see a snippet of right here on the screen in front of you, that goes through every single field and tells you any specific requirement on that field. I think that's it for the rules. We can go to the next slide. So now you know the fields that are available, you know how to fill out the fields. Now we can go ahead and upload the CSV file. So there's a CSV upload section on the navigation page, which you will see not now, but after your security user assigns you the role of CSV uploader. So the good news is this is a function that is controlled. Not just anyone can go ahead and upload the CSV whenever they want to. So there's an extra layer of protection there as well. So when you're uploading the CSV file, we have a little handy-dandy screen with very awesome downloads that you can use for your assistant. So should you forget what the instructions are for how to upload the CSV, we have a document that you can print out or download and read on your screen right there. And then it goes through step one, use this description and guide to make sure that the template of all of the data makes sense and looks good. And then you can download a blank template to fill out as well. Then next step, you're just going to upload the CSV file by selecting Choose File, selecting the CSV file you've created. Important, make sure it is a .csv file. However, don't worry, if it is a .xlx file, it will not allow you to upload it. It'll say error, Excel file, not allowed, choose a CSV file. So pretty user-friendly in that if you're doing something wrong, it'll tell you. Next, you'll be able to hit Submit. And then after that, there is a really awesome thing that happens where it will count the number of records that are in the file. So, for example, in this screenshot, I had taken a file that I had updated records to. So it had 6 records in that file. The ones that did not have errors show me that they didn't have errors. So it updated a record, and it was great. 2 of the records of the 6 did have some error that I'm going to have to go fix. And to make it even easier, if you see at the top of your screen where it says click to accept or reject updates of existing records, that will link you to the screen of CSV updates needing review, which is almost identical to the VR updates needing review. So something you've all seen and are probably fairly familiar with before. And then you can go and select the updates to that record that you want to accept or reject. You can accept all, you can reject all. Or you can leave it there if you want, but no changes will be made to the records that are being updated unless you select accept. When that happens, that will update the record, and then the list of changes will disappear from the CSV updates needing review. Similarly, if you reject them, the updates will go away and the record will remain unchanged. Now, the error report. If you think back to that screen where it showed me that I had 4 needing review and I had 2 that had errors, oh, I wonder which they were. Well, we have a great report that is generated when we upload the CSV that if there are errors, it will tell you what they are and it'll tell you where to find them. So this report itself, the error report for the CSV, there's a link on, after you upload the file, if there are errors, there's a link on that page that will take you to log into Pentaho. And then within Pentaho, you can find this report under Reports, and then CSV Upload Error Log Report. Pretty straightforward title. Now, for the record itself, or the report itself, it'll tell you the upload date, which is your date range. It'll tell you the facility name, and then it'll tell you the row number of that file where you can find where the error was. So I can see that I had 2 records, right, row 2 and row 3, that had a couple errors each. Next, it'll tell me which column name had the error in it. So then I can go right to that column and be like, yep, there's my error. And then I don't know what the error is. Oh, it tells me. So I had an invalid value of 4516. The date must contain a 4-digit year. Oh, right, I need to update that row to say 4/5/2016. Or another example, the fetal presentation, the invalid value was 4. It'll show me what was in the file that I uploaded, and it'll tell you what the allowable digits or data pieces are. So I can have 1, 2, 3, or 9, but not a 4 for that column. Another one, you can't have an integer on specific rows, and if I accidentally put an integer in there, either through me mistyping it or it just being, an accident, then I'll just go and change it. Good news is it'll tell you where the error is, and it'll tell you what has to change. All right, so Alan is going to run you guys through a demo of how to do this with a file and then an updated file to that record, to that set of records.
Great. Thank you, Madison. So I'm going to, let's see, show you my screen, and hopefully everyone can see the test site. It's slowly getting over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into our test facility in the test Peridata site and just kind of walk you through what we just kind of reviewed on the PowerPoints. And then as I'm finished, we will open up probably for questions if you guys have any answer right away. Otherwise, we'll get into the last slide and then open up everyone for questions then. So like anything else, if you do have permissions to actually complete a CSV upload, you just log in as normal. And if you obviously have more than one facility, you just select the correct facility. And then they'll get you to the actual home base of the page. Just going to let the GoToMeeting catch up to me. There you go. All right. So as we kind of explained, we have kind of 3 new navigation areas, very similar to the VR updates. There's just one additional area, and that's the CSV upload. So if you click on that, you'll see the same screen that we just showed you on the PowerPoint, kind of showing you the instructions and the steps 1, 2, and 3. And so step 1 and 2, typically kind of what we're kind of thinking here with the steps 1, 2, and 3 is that if you kind of are new to this within the organization that already has CSV ability and you as a user were given the ability to do this, some of this is just helpful for them to understand. Most likely step 1 and 2 are probably unnecessary at this point, only because you should have already walked through it with us. But we just wanted to, mainly for transition from staff within your hospital, just so they are aware of some of the guidelines and such. So assuming step 1 and 2 are done, and I already have my fake data, so I'll choose a file. And all right, so I have my records 10. And I'll open that. And then what I should do is just hit submit. And then it should execute and then kind of show me some of the results here. So it looks like I have 6 records that have processed. This also, you'll notice, is up above. We have a little bit of description of what you should, do thereafter, just to help you again through the process. As you'll notice, that all 6 records are processed were brand new, without any errors, and then you can go and click on this to see a new burst. Now, if I did have some errors, then some of the other links would show up to show me to go and log into Pentaho to review the reports. And if you have more than one file, for whatever reason, if you have your batch where you have each file that's dictated by week or day, or depending on how large your hospital is, you can go right away and go click on upload another file. And in this case, I'm going to show you that I have an update file, and that's 10.1. And hopefully I will have some updates that show up when I hit submit. All right, so of this, I have 5 that uploaded correctly in their updates, and then I have 1 that contained errors. Now, If they are still considered a number of update records contain errors, it's still going to load the file, or it's still going to load that row of information. You just may have a piece of information of that row that may have some issues that you have to resolve. So if 99% of your information for that row is correct, it still will upload, and you just may have one that is not correct. So what I'll probably do is show you how to review and update your records. So I can click on here, the link there, and then let the page refresh here for you guys. I could also have gone there with CSV updates need review as well. So you could have gone there as well. So you have 2, 4, 6 records that are updated. And then what I can do here is go to CSV update. So click on the link here. Look at fake mother here. And then, like I said, as Madison said, you have the ability to look at things that have been updated and choose to accept them all or reject them all. Or if you want to accept just 1 or 2, you can do that as well by clicking accept. The one thing to note is that if you ever bring in a file of information that partly some of it's new and some of it's old, meaning for one given birth record, there's some information that did not get filled in before, and sometimes we refer to that as null record. You won't see it on this screen because it doesn't have anything to update, which is good because you only really want to focus on the areas that need your attention versus the whole file. So I can choose accept all, and then that record has been updated, and then if I want to show you guys a little bit where to look at the errors, you can just go down to report server here, like you would look at any other reports. And it'll open up Pentaho. All right, so I'm going to go into browse. Again, all of these steps are very similar to anything you would do to look for reports. And the report, as highlighted before, is stored underneath public and then reports. In our test server, I think we have it, I think still under there. I guess we do have it as the same name too. So you click on public, open up reports, and then the CSV upload error log report. And then you just click on open. And then you just have to choose the date that you did the upload for. So today was what I did, so you can just click on View Report. And then what it's going to do is a CSV file, so it's going to download the actual file that you can open up. If I open up that file, it'll show that I had an error in this particular record on row 5. The mother's blood group had an invalid value. It was looking for a capital O and had a lowercase o, and then it kind of rejected it. These are some files we tested earlier today. And you basically update your file and reload it again on the upload, and then you would actually be done. So what I'll do is go back to the presentation here. So as you can see, it's hopefully fairly simplistic to actually execute the CSV import. I think the challenge will most likely be is getting your data report set up. And in some cases, you may have a report that's very similar that you may be already using to give to a personnel to actually enter the data manually that you could possibly leverage and kind of modify based on the column headers. But what we intentionally did was try to keep the upload for the first round very manageable. So we had 56 records. Obviously, our future holds to kind of improve that dramatically by introducing more fields. Our next goal is probably to expand with this, the VR Severus fields, and because depending on the hospital, you may have a different process that maybe you enter in the stuff in Peridata first and then you go into Severus. And adding those additional fields will dramatically help you. And we're also working with the data committee to actually identify additional fields beyond that as well. So our goal is hopefully to get about 75 to 100 more fields by the end of the summer. So our target is end of August. So our suggestion is that any hospital that is interested in getting started, we encourage you to reach out to us as soon as you can, just to kind of get you going on the kind of the first wave of fields. And the good news is that you don't have to use every single field in your imports, as Madison mentioned. You can do the fields that matter to you. And as we expand to more fields, you actually don't have to be prepared to accept those fields right away. Basically, it's flexible enough to be either take the fields, the new information that you have, and if we have that mapped, great, it'll work. If you have additional fields in your CSV report that we don't have mapped yet, but you hope that we do get it mapped at, I would suggest you get it in your report, and it won't hurt anything. It won't reject anything on our side. It'll just ignore it for now. And as we get to the point to add those additional fields, you will already be prepared to actually upload those. So expanded fields is definitely our biggest priority. The other feature we're going to add is called the preview file function. And essentially the goal here is that instead of you basically downloading the file from EHR, opening it up with Excel to verify it looks good or not, our intention is to basically you upload the file, you click on preview, it previews the first two rows. It'll look at the column headers and it'll also look at the first row and give you an opportunity to verify does that look as you thought it should have looked, and making sure the column headers are completed correctly, as well as make sure the values are done as well. So our intention here is try to expedite some of this and try to keep you from doing extra work by opening up the file in Excel. And then finally, again, especially when we get a lot of participants, hospitals, we want to try to do something related to scheduled batch upload, where you can submit the file from your EHR, to some type of secure FTP site that we will on a nightly basis grab that file and upload it on your behalf, and then you can log in the day after and actually look at the upload review screen to kind of look at what needs to be adjusted or not, and also look at the error logs to see what aired out, what did not. So again, we're trying to dramatically improve this process quickly after we're trying to introduce this new concept. So stay tuned for a lot of those. And then I'll open up the floor for questions.
Alan, this is Lisa Locke, and there are 2 questions already posted up that I'd like to go through.
Great.
The first one is that none of us has that CSV rights access right now. So where would we be able to get the directions and things to work with our IT departments? Is that on the help, or where could we find it before we can get in there and see those parts?
So basically, as indicated on, I think, slide 4, is just contact our help desk, our support desk, and say that you are interested in getting started. And we will then reach out to you. walk through the process and make sure that you're prepared to actually be able to move forward with this.
So we have to do that as opposed to seeing what the directions are to see how able our IT department
we can, I think we have that. We can share that. That's a good point. So I guess we could share that probably. We'll post out a message to let people know this is the directions, and we'll also put it out in the help desk forum.
Okay, I think that would be helpful so people can at least get a feel for it prior to moving forward with being in touch with you. Thank you.
Yeah, and the one thing related to that real quick is for those hospitals that may not be able to, construct the necessary reports out of their EHR, whether it's a resource constraint or just don't have the capability, there is something to be said about leveraging our template to actually manually enter it in the template in a mass way that may still improve the efficiency versus going through screen by screen. So just another way of maybe a smaller hospital that wants to kind of get their feet wet, you can leverage our current template, populate that manually, and upload it as well.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, the screen after the upload, would there be a way to identify which uploads had errors or discrepancies with more of a flag rather than going in and looking for them?
You mean related to the actual record inside Peridata?
Let's see. I don't know if the asker can give some more information on that one. I think the idea overall would be to save a step by just seeing a flag on, if there was one record that had a discrepancy, could it have a flag by it rather than having to open something else up to find which one had the error?
Sure. I mean, I think one of our goals, I think I understand maybe the point there. I mean, maybe at the moment, I don't disagree, open up that report is probably the most elegant approach. What we're trying to do for the moment is get that out there knowing it's required. Ideally, what we want to do is when you click on the error thing, it pops up a CSV file right from the get-go. So you have that file in your hands. Does that answer the question?
This is Ann Conway. The person who asked the question is muted, and we can't unmute her until she enters her PIN.
Although she did answer yes, thank you.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Any other questions? Our hope is that this is exciting for people, especially those that want to try to obviously gain some of the benefits from it. We really believe that this is really going to be a huge time saver and also increase the amount of, or I guess decrease the amount of errors generated, but basically increase the quality of your data. And because the webinar is not very long, it kind of demonstrates that it's pretty straightforward, other than the fact that you just have to get your data aligned to actually support it. So, and which we can help you any way we can through that process. So.
Here comes another question. It says, if a field comes back with different answers, how will they be mapped, such as on a presentation? I think the question being is how can one start to easily decipher maybe which one's the more logical answer?
Are you in the update probably screen, I'm assuming, update review screen?
Yeah, I think so. When it says, you know, the prior answer and the new answer, I think, if there's a
Sure.
discrepancy.
Well, I mean, if there's a discrepancy, I mean, no difference in Sybaris. You just hopefully you know which one is the right answer. I don't think any technical thing could help you with that. It's it's not like an error per se. Actually, in fact, it's not an error at all. It's mainly telling you that are you sure you want to overlay this new value with over the existing value and give you an opportunity to make sure you align with it.
And again, that's only happening if there was already a value in there, right? So, I mean, it doesn't know you had, let's say it was, you said breach and it was really cephalic. If there wasn't a value in there before, you wouldn't know you had an error.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be an error again. It would just know, oh, okay, there's no value there, then just save it, right? And then that's where you should do the CSV just updates to kind of look at your records and make sure that that's what you intended it to be. So the hope here is that it reduces the amount of manual entry. It doesn't take away the review part. I mean, that's something you probably should make sure that you agree with what's in there, but it at least eliminate the manualness of entering the information.
Okay, here's another question. Can the data be updated directly into the Perry data record? For example, let's say if a weight pulls in incorrectly, can you fix it in Perry data rather than like reading a CSV file?
Yes, it doesn't take away your ability to update anything manually. So yeah, you can correct it right off the bat without reloading the file. The only reason you'd probably ever want to reload the file is if you had like 30 or 40 records that had the same issue. And it might just be more efficient for you just to do that.
True. So like on your example of, I don't know, maybe somebody had some kind of error with a little o instead of a big O. Until you get that problem fixed on the back side, you could go in and fix those in the CSV and rerun it.
Yeah, and I guess you do raise the question of obviously if it imports incorrectly, obviously the source data might be out too, so you just have to be cautious on making sure you update the source so you don't, I guess, or you won't ever overlay what comes in without your review, but obviously you probably should fix the source as well. But yeah, there is no limitation you going in and actually manually updating something if it looks incorrect.
And then the age-old question, is there any discussion to try to allow Perry data to import, Sybaris to import to Perry data and vice versa? I think it already does versa.
I think the discussion internally is there in terms of the data committee and the like. I think our goal is to get our piece done first and then maybe regroup to talk to the state to see what we can do.
Thank you very much. Those are all the questions that are currently showing up. Does anybody else have any other questions that they'd like to submit?
Lisa, you don't have any questions.
I'm just glad I kind of know what a CSV file is. No, I'm very excited. I think this is a great start, and people have been asking for this for a long, long time. And we got a comment in. They don't have another question, but this is great, capital G-R-E-A-T, exclamation point. Thank you, exclamation point.
Great. Well, we're excited, and we really want to get as many hospitals involved in this as possible so people can focus more on the reports versus the entering of the data. So.
Okay. Thanks very much, Alan and Madison, for that demonstration. I think it's pretty exciting. Again, for those on the phone, as you could see, be in touch with Ancilla through the help desk in order to get yourself started, and they will be getting the information about what how you can work with your IT department or whomever as far as what content would have to be in the files.
Yeah, we will post something after this call onto the Paradata site. So.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all for your time and attention today.
All right, everyone,
and
take care.
And this will be recorded and published on our website, and we'll let you know about it when it's ready.
Sounds good. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Alan.